Welcome to the People Behind Property podcast, brought to you by O'Brien Real Estate. In this series, we shine a light on the personal stories, career journeys, and expert insights shaping Australia's real estate market. Meet the agents, the industry leaders, and the voices behind the O'Brien network, because here it's personal. So let's dive into today's conversation. Today I'm joined by Milne, a former lawyer turned award-winning agent, currently one of the top agents in Frankston, with a law degree from Monash, 2 years of legal practice, and a proven track record as a top performer at O'Brien Real Estate. Tia brings a rare combination of legal expertise, negotiation skill, and client care. She's known for her level-headed approach, availability, and ability to craft unique selling strategies that truly work. Away from the office, she's all about family, fitness, and the heat of a good hot yoga session. Tia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Great to have you. I was really excited to come down and talk to you guys.
Yeah, I'm super impressed. It's a very professional setup.
No, it's great. And I know, obviously, it was in your sales meeting before, so I'm full. I've got
Yeah,
all this food.
I know. It's almost like a food coma. Bad timing, maybe.
I know, exactly. Let's just go from, I guess, what the intro just said. Like, you started out in law and property law. Well, what initially drew you to that path?
I think it was in high school, really. I went to a school that was very educationally focused, and so we were really pushed towards a university degree. And I think I just had a natural tendency to enjoy English and legal studies and humanities, and I think law provided a very good I guess, position for that. Yeah. And then I loved studying it. I really enjoyed studying it. But when I got into practice, I realized it was very different and didn't quite suit my personality. And I guess you evolve as you get older as well, and your personality changes. And so I was 2 years into practicing law, and the director of the law firm came to me and kind of suggested a few things moving forward career-wise. And I thought, if I'm not certain about this career, I need to tell him now, rather than, continue on and then possibly leave later, which would have, mucked up their plans. Yep. So I spoke to Dad, who is the director of O'Brien, Frankston.
Yep.
And
you would have grown up with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Your dad's been in real estate for
30-something years. Yeah. I think we always refer to it as like the fourth sibling in the family, because it's kind of got its whole, it's like a separate entity really, but it's just so ingrained in our family. And so Dad said, well, I think you should try real estate, and never looked back. So
so that was really, is that so what made you actually decide that final leap to get into it?
Well, I just think sitting behind a desk all day, I didn't really feel like I was my own boss either, which you're not when you're a lawyer in a law firm. And it just wasn't fulfilling for me.
Is it true, like, you hear these stories about, you're a new young lawyer. Are you up till 2 a.m. reading files? Is that true?
It was at law school, it was very much like that. Yeah, it was very late or early mornings and late nights, and practicing law was quite demanding as well. I was lucky I worked for a law firm that did value work-life balance, which was unusual back then in particular. So that was very beneficial, but you do work very hard for it. And in a way, because you work kind of Monday to Friday in a law firm, and then on Saturday and Sunday, I was so bored, I'd actually come and help Dad with auctions and open homes on a Saturday.
So it was already started for you.
Yeah, because I just can't sit still. So having 2 days off just didn't seem natural for me.
No.
And then, so I really enjoyed that, and that's helped the transition as well. Yeah.
So you kind of had that work ethic, didn't you?
Oh, I worked in the business since I was 14 as a receptionist. I don't know if it was legal, but I was working when I was 14 as a receptionist.
And you're fully 6 days a week now, aren't you?
6 days a week.
And you'll answer your phone on Sundays.
Correct. Yeah, I'm always available. Yeah.
So look, you are known as an expert negotiator. In your view, what makes a great negotiator in real estate? I think that law part of it, I think you've got that direct approach, which people do appreciate. Yeah,
I'm very direct. I think having the legal background certainly helped me understand the legalities of everyone's position. Yeah. So I think that's really important, because you can't suggest something if it's not going to be binding or if it's not going to actually be legal. So I think that's important. That's a good foundation. But in terms of creating a selling strategy, there's a few things. You've got to think about the client's temperament as well. Auction might work perfectly for them, it might not. So you've got to think about that. You've got to think about the house. You've got to think about the demographic of buyer that's going to be interested in that home, and what they're going to feel more comfortable engaging with. Yep. Because at the moment, people are so time poor, they're not going to want to jump through hoops to get something. And in a market where there might be not a lot of properties for sale, but let's say there's 2 or 3 and they're somewhat similar, they're going to gravitate towards the home that is easiest to engage with. So you want to make it as easy as possible for the buyer to engage with the home. That's going to get you a lot of momentum in that campaign.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's definitely one thing. And then obviously considering what the seller's goals are as well. Is it the best price? Is it an ease? Is it certain conditions they need met? So we create a selling strategy around that as well.
Fantastic. Yeah. I think that's great. I guess what I was going to ask you is, tell us about, would you have a negotiation story or something that you maybe recently had, something that might have taught you something new?
Yeah, I mean, I think...
'Cause personalities are a big thing, and with your skill, I suppose sometimes you've got to actually meet people where they're at. You've got to mirror what they're saying, how they're behaving. Yeah,
absolutely. I think a big one is really just going... Sometimes I get resistance, which sounds a little bit odd, because you get resistance when you tell the person it's worth more than they expect. Yeah. And I think sometimes they think you're trying to buy the listing by saying it's worth more and then not being able to deliver. But we see it all the time what properties are selling for, and we see it before it reaches the market. Yep. So we have an obligation to inform our client about what we think it's going to achieve. Yep. And I think people are shocked by that. So sometimes that's the challenge, in overcoming that. Yeah. In terms of an actual negotiation, we sell a lot off market, and I think sometimes I don't recommend selling off market. At the moment, the market is so strong that I'm not selling as much off market because I just don't feel confident guaranteeing my client it's the best offer out there because it's evolving so quickly. In a market that's a little bit more steady, we're selling a lot off market. And I think that's been a good negotiation in terms of giving buyers a chance to secure something off market. They will often pay a premium for that. So that's something that I really kind of started in my local area when I started six or 7 years ago, was really pushing off market and getting premium prices for them. Yeah, no,
that's really good. I think in terms of price, do you generally try to stay away from your personal opinion and really lead that with data? Do you find,
I mean, data has a place. If someone kind of says to me, oh, what do you think it's going to achieve? I say, look, based on the comparable sales, I think a minimum expectation should be X. But let's talk about how we can make sure we get as many buyers to the property as possible, because only after we've had 20 or 30 people through the home can I be confident to suggest that the price we get you is the best price out there. Definitely. So we focus on the process more than anything.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I think there's so much pressure on pricing at the moment. That's definitely the way to go about it, for sure.
Yeah.
In terms of like balance in achieving the best price with ensuring both of your buyers and your sellers are respected in the process, is there any kind of approach you have with that?
I've had situations where the client has said to me, like, I'm happy with that price. And I've said, let's just go get a bit more. Like, I think there's more there. And then they get very nervous about possibly losing the buyer as well. So, you've got to make your client feel assured, but know when you can push someone and get more. So it is a very hard balance to strike. And I think really that just comes from experience and a bit of intuition as well. And making sure you have a backup too. If you've got 2 or 3 buyers and if we do push one too hard, they might fall out, but we've got others that are there. So it can be a little bit of a gamble sometimes, but I think having an agent that's not afraid to ask for the best price is really important, and that's what we do. But responsibly as well.
Of course.
Yeah. I think making sure you have a backup is really important. If you don't, then and even if you think there's a bit more there, you've got to inform your client, okay, we can push them. Having said that, if we lose them, we don't have a backup. What would you like to do? And then be willing to go ahead with what the client instructs.
I was just thinking about this market down here. I suppose if you look at through COVID and Frankston's been around for many, many years, and it's evolving all the time. But all of a sudden this year, it's become one of the hottest markets. I'm probably going to be bold here, in Australia. That recent auction, we had five phone bidders from interstate.
Haven't seen anything like that before.
How have you kind of adjusted to that? Because all of a sudden you're just in one of the best markets, and you've probably weathered a lot of storm in this market as well. So is there anything you've done differently just to kind of Or you're just finding you're just busier and you've just got more coming through?
Well, I think, Frankston's always kind of suffered from a lack of properties for sale because I think when people move into the area, they don't want to move out. And so that's always been a challenge. When I started, it was a pretty decent market. Things were moving very quickly. We were getting good results. And then the Royal Commission happened, and we had to sell properties 3 or 4 times before a buyer actually got finance. And I remember this one, it was in Patterson Lakes, and I sold it 3 times. It fell over on finance. It actually got broken into at 11 o'clock at night. I had to go out there to Patterson Lakes at 11
3
o'clock.
times.
It fell over on finance 3 times.
Jeez.
Had to go out to lock up the house after a neighbour had called and said he'd been broken into around midnight. And then the next open home, another agent took the open home and sold it. And that finance stuck. And you think, I've done all this work and walked away with nothing. And I think that's the temperament that you've got to have, that, it's the long term, the long term game.
Yeah.
So that was a really trying period. And then I remember, the federal election happened, the Liberals got in, and suddenly it just took off again overnight. So it is a lot of waves that you have to ride in this career.
Definitely.
And it's so important to stay grounded and steady and put your money away when you make it. That's really important as well. And I think, so in terms of, sorry, I forgot what was the original question?
No, I was just talking about how the market in Frankston now one of the hottest markets in Australia right now.
So now we've kind of evolved into a market where, and then the interest rates, the last few months we've had a lot of interest rate rises, and that was really tough because the media was putting information out there that there was going to be all these forced sales because people couldn't afford their mortgages. That didn't happen because people had created a lot of equity in their homes.
Never happens, does it?
No, just don't listen to what the media says ever. If they say to do one thing, do the opposite. And then buyers were holding off thinking that, the market was going to crash. And so that was a very stagnant market. Nothing was happening. And now we've got all these interstate investors where even though being a landlord in Victoria is a little bit more onerous because of the legislation, if you can get something for $200,000 or $300,000 less than you would in Sydney or WA, it makes sense to come to Victoria and invest your money here. And I think Frankston's really on the map at the moment because we've got the hospitals being built. We're kind of the last beachside suburb that's got very good amenities, that's still affordable.
You got Monash.
You got Monash University.
Good public transport.
Yeah, exactly. And by the beach. And Frankston Beach is stunning. It's a really stunning
all these
beach.
Apartments going.
All the apartments are coming up now as well. So I think people are getting in at the right time. So we've got a lot of buyer demand at the moment. It's just about finding those houses to bring to the market. That's a bit of a bottleneck at the moment.
No, that's great. I think you mentioned before, so every client's different. How do you kind of customise your sales strategy approach? Because it's really by client, isn't it? Every client's got a different profile. Is there any kind of way you go about that?
Yeah, well, we had one recently in Frankston Heights. Once again, when I went in there and told them the price I think we could achieve, they didn't believe me. And I said, well, look, give me 30 days off market. I brought them 2 offers. One actually was from a little forthcoming sale sign out the front. Someone in the area was walking by and called me off that. And then the other one was a buyer advocate that was buying on behalf of an investor. We introduced both of them to the property and we sold it for the price that I had told them off market. I think, the price of advertising a home now is getting up to about $4,500-$5,000. And so that's a big chunk for people. That's even though the prices are going up, that is hard for people to get their head around. So if we can save them that money, that's important. But it's not kind of, take some pictures on your phone and send it to a few buyers and see what they say. It's actually a very curated off-market campaign. So we still get the photos done. We still get a floor plan done. We send it out to our clients as a preview from our website. So it looks professional with a script and everything. And then we introduce multiple buyers to it off-market. And that's really something that's appealing to a lot of people.
Definitely.
Other people are saying, no, we want the full marketing campaign. We want to make sure we explore every option. And, we do that as well. To the time you launch the property, when you launch it, how you launch it, what the photos look like. I think it's really important that the agent responds to a buyer inquiry very quickly as well, because even though there's not a lot of homes for sale, a buyer is still kind of inquiring on 4 or 5 properties. If you're the one that calls back straight away like that, you're going to already put that property in the forefront of their mind. So having an agent that's really diligent with buyer work is important. It's a very holistic kind of approach to selling a home.
It's funny with off market, isn't it? Because it resonates with people, but it's never off market because you can't sell a secret.
No.
But it does resonate with people, doesn't
Yeah.
it? They want to try and do it on the quiet. But it's still got to get out there.
Yeah, I mean, I had a client recently that said you can only show the property on a Wednesday because of their family life, and
But you can probably work with that.
Yeah, we can work with that. Exactly.
Yeah.
And off market only on a Wednesday, and we sold it for a great price. We did it, So, and I've had other clients that say, I want this price, and I think, oh, that's a bit tough, and we do it, know. So yeah, we work very hard, and I think being the number one agency in Frankston, it's not just my database of prospective buyers, it's the entire offices and the wider O'Brien network as well, who have buyers for the home. So we're very able to introduce the best buyers to our clients' homes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. One thing that's obvious is you're very detail orientated.
Very detail orientated.
And I think whether that's from your law and just your personality and just how you've grown up. How do you keep clients informed without overwhelming them?
I probably do overwhelm them, to be honest.
But at least they know what you're doing. Though, too. You're not leaving any stone unturned.
Yeah.
So, how do you approach that?
Yeah, just as soon as something happens, a quick text, just letting you know this is the inquiry that came in. Just letting you know I've done this. Just letting you know this has happened. Don't feel like you need to respond. Just keeping you updated. Text just fixes everything. Just letting you know this is the offer we got, but we're expecting
another. Whether it's 10 or 20 a day or one a day,
exactly.
It doesn't matter. You just straight away.
Exactly. I don't turn on the ignition in my car until I've told them what's happened at the inspection. So they know.
That's a good rule, isn't it?
Yeah,
don't
absolutely.
drive away.
That's what I say to my team. I said, do not turn on your car until you've texted the owner and me.
Love it.
I think that's really important. And then we have welcome emails. Everything's templated as well. So what I kind of did when I first started in real estate, anytime a client would ask me a question, I'd actually write that down and then create a template in terms of, even when's the board going up? When is this happening? How's this happening? How long do the photos take? When do I get the photos back? I created a template, and we send that out before they even ask the question. So I don't really get a lot of questions because we kind of give that.
You've thought what's coming before they've even thought of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Look, you're one of the top agents in Frankston. You're also one of the top agents in the O'Brien network, male or female. What does that recognition kind of mean to you personally? I mean, you're very humble. I don't think, what does it does it mean anything to you, or you just do you?
I think I don't really try to compare myself too much. I just look for opportunities. And I think, not to suggest, but I look overseas and I see what other agents in America are doing. When I first started in real estate, I don't know how I got onto him, but Tom Ferry in America. Because America tends to be 10 years ahead of us and what we're doing. So it's a really good indication of where the industry is going. I kind of listened to him, and I listened to a lot of other trainers, and, we just went to ARIC. Obviously, there was a few American agents there and what they're doing.
And we both love the hospitality book.
Unreasonable Hospitality. Will Gadara.
And I think that really resonated with you, and I think
it did.
It seems to me like you approach a lot of what you do with some of these methodologies.
I love impressing people and just, really giving them an amazing experience. And obviously there's sometimes a bit of a limit to what I can do because I'm just one person, but, I think people want to feel seen. I think that's really important, especially in this day and age. People want to feel recognised. They want their hard work to be valued. Putting a house together for a sales campaign is really tough. When you've got kids and you've got, you're busy with work, and it's pretty unforgiving sometimes. Definitely. So if we can, really make that process easier for people, that gives me a really good feeling inside. So obviously, I think being at the top of the industry is important because it just means you have access to more information and that you can then pass on to your clients to make their experience better. But in terms of going around and saying, it doesn't really bother me too much. When I first started, we weren't number one, and we worked really hard to get here, and it's certainly not easier being number one in the area.
No.
There's
you actually got to work harder.
You got to work harder. Yeah, you do. There's new challenges coming around. AIs. There's always something being thrown at you as an opportunity. And you've got to discern what's worth it and what's not.
No, definitely.
And not take your eye off the ball doing the basics as well.
Yeah. So if you think about awards and that's all great. What's probably a non-award moment that you're proud of that didn't involve any kind of?
Yeah, honestly, when I tell people the offers that we get on their properties, and you just hear them, and then they say, "What? Sorry?" Like they don't believe what they just heard, and you say it again.
That's rewarding.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, that's really good. you're a female in the industry, and I think we've got females that listen to the podcast. What advice would you give to other females in industry that probably has been much more male dominated? It's not so much now, but how to get other females that want to do what you're doing? What would your advice be?
I mean, I think just be confident.
Yeah.
I was very blessed. I grew up in a household where gender just was not a thing.
It's not a thing, exactly.
It just wasn't a thing. Everyone was treated as an individual.
Yeah.
And I was told I could do anything.
Yeah.
And so I would just say be confident.
Yeah.
There's some people that don't want to deal with females, and there's some people that don't want to deal with males.
Yeah.
So it all evens out.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we've a lot of the females in the past have done a lot of the hard work to make it a lot more of an equitable society for us now.
Yeah.
So I don't suggest it was always easy, but it's certainly easier than what it was.
Yeah.
But I think, I kind of laugh because when I call people, when I door knock, I get a much better reaction than the men, because I think most people don't want to be rude to a female.
Yeah,
it could come
and they're probably
across
surprised you're even at the door.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
yeah. But I think, it's not really a new thing anymore. I think people are very...
Are you still out there door knocking a bit?
I would love to be out there door knocking more. And so I've just hired an assistant who's doing a campaign manager, Holly, and she's taking a lot of that off me so I can be out there more.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
I love door knocking. I love cold calling. I love doing all that.
Awesome.
That grunt work stuff. I don't know. I just like it.
That's the grunt work of real estate, isn't it? That's where the rubber hits
meeting
the
those.
road.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Making those connections. Yeah.
AREC 2025.
Yeah.
I know us as a network, we're obviously all very excited. We're up there supporting you. What did that mean to you just to get on that stage?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was deserving of being up there, that's for sure. There's better agents out there. So it was a little bit of a pinch me moment. It was really inspiring being in that room and listening to a lot of other people and taking away
your parents up there. And taking away, I mean, I've kind of been one of those people. That was actually my first AREC too, which I felt a bit guilty about, because I always listened to the speeches afterwards. But when I went there, I realized, okay, the energy in the room, you can't put a value, like that is amazing. Yeah,
so if you can get up there, I really recommend going.
Yeah, definitely.
I won't miss another one. It's fantastic.
I mean, even if you're not in real estate, there's so much to learn.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not just real estate focused speakers. It's, about mindset and about, customer service. So it was really valuable. But no, it was a really good opportunity to meet other people, see what they're doing, see what we can do better. I took a lot away from it.
One of the things I've noticed about you is, if you're in a training session, you're still thinking about your clients, even though you're a good multitasker, of course, but you're in training and you're there, but you're still very focused on what your clients, anything that's coming in, you're dealing with it literally there on the spot.
Well, I think people, when they're in a high pressure situation of selling or buying a house, if something comes to their mind and they contact me, it's probably because it's pretty urgent and they're wanting an answer straight away. And so I like to provide that answer straight away. And if I can't, I say, let me get back to you. I'll look into that and let me get back to you. So they know that the message has come through.
So what I'm hearing is, for you, speed of service is absolute paramount.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's just such an easy way to differentiate yourself from other agents in the area too. So, I think people can run their career how they want, but if you're not willing to take a call on a Sunday or get back to someone on a Saturday night, it might not be the best career for you. I think people are making, especially in my area, their house is usually the biggest asset. You got to treat that very seriously. You've got to treat that very seriously.
Big responsibility.
So if someone's contacting you asking a question, just get back to them. It's not that hard.
No.
And like I said, if you don't know the answer, let them know that you're going to get it and when you're going to get back to them by. That's really important. Something I learned early in my career. I'd say, I'll find out, let me get back to you. And if I got a text message half an hour later asking what's going on, I think it's been half an hour. Like, I'll do it. But they didn't know what the timeline is. So setting a timeline in place makes things a lot better for people. I think people calm down when there's a sense of certainty, and they feel reassured. I think I can't remember what book I read, but in South Korea, they actually have, in South Korea, they actually have traffic lights, and it tells you how the countdown until it turns green.
I've seen that.
Yeah. It was Stephen Bartlett's book, and and they found that the amount of road rage, the number of traffic accidents, all went down because people weren't taking unnecessary risks to cross the light because they're thinking, it's only 30 seconds until So creating that timeline for people about expectations of getting back to them and when you're going to have an answer, it's really important. It gives people a lot of ease.
No, definitely. I think we use that on our traffic lights.
Yeah, I wish. I know, right? Yeah. What are they doing out there?
I know. I want to just pivot for a minute. Let's talk about this office.
Yeah.
We were in a meeting this morning. Tell me about what's I'm going to be bold here and say this has been your vision, this office, designed to some degree, like the beautiful colours, the design, the contrasting. Do you want to give us a bit of a kind of short of a vision of what you saw and how it's come to life, because it is one of the best real estate offices in Melbourne.
Thank you. Yeah, my dad has invested a lot into it. My sister really had the vision in terms of the colours. I told her what I thought, and then she's much better at articulating it than I am. And we're on the same page with everything, which was great. I think it's important to have a space where it's functional for people. People are so visual these days as well because of social media. Every time they open Instagram, they're met with beautiful things. And so I think if you don't create a space like that for people to come to work, they're not going to want to come to work. No. I know there's a real push for this work from home at the moment, and it might work for some people. I personally think there's just nothing more valuable than being in the office when you're a sales agent.
Well, you become an attraction business, don't you?
Yeah.
And if I just go back to this morning when you had the whole team in here.
Yeah.
I mean, the culture's amazing. And would you say that this office and the design has helped create that?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think also, I remember once I was in my office and I was just working away, and I overheard someone talk about a listing that the Mornington office had got in my farm area, Coringal. And obviously my ears perked up and I said, what was that? And then I called that agent, got a buyer through the next day and sold it.
Yeah, wow.
If I hadn't been in the office because I was working from home.
They were happy with that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. And off market as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a great price at the time. Then, if I had been working from home or not in the office, that wouldn't have happened. That sale for that client wouldn't have happened in such a quick and with such a great result. So I think, it's a very collaborative work environment, which is really important because that provides the best results to our clients. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're sitting at home just waiting for realestate.com to send you an inquiry. Well, that's not good enough anymore. Yeah. And I think very functional space. It's semi-open plan out the back, so there are spaces you can go if you need quiet. Obviously, the team works in here sometimes as well. Even having I come in the morning and before we leave at night, I have the TV on with the luxury home show showing the home tours because as people are walking past, they want movement because movement suggests activity, and momentum, and that's really important as well. So we have music playing,
Create some inspiration with some visuals on the
Exactly. TV, so that's really important.
No, it's really good. It's really good. Real estate's high pressure. I know you're a fan of hot yoga.
I love it, yeah.
And, fitness. Does it help you with mental clarity and things like that?
It does, yeah. I do hot strength and hot Pilates just at Core Plus across the road.
Early too. I see
a bit of an early riser, yeah. I think that's a sign of getting older, I think. So I was never really like that. I was a night owl before, I'd be up till 1 or 2.
Earlier.
Yeah, exactly. But as you get older, you go the other way.
Yep.
I'm up between kind of 4:30 and 5:30, depending on what time the class is in the morning. And I think the sweat of hot strength and hot Pilates really releases those endorphins. That gets me really steady for the day. It's not too taxing on the body as well, so you don't get injured as much as if you're doing, a full-on gym session. I just find it really grounding. Good way to start the day. Yeah, you've got to have movement. You've got to have some movement. Yeah.
One thing outside of real estate that's that you found valuable in shaping your career success?
I think that's a wrong question for me because it's literally just gym and real estate. I'm so boring.
No,
I think
that's all right.
I think.
What do you want? How do you wind down? What are you doing? I know you've only got one day, but outside of are you just going to gym or you just kind of take a few moments?
I take a few moments. Yeah, I hang out with friends and my partner and my family. That's really good. I keep a very tight circle. But I think in terms of just winding down, I like to read a book. I like to kind of stimulate because obviously during the day it's go, 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 and sometimes I can't I can't sit down and just focus on something for a long period of time. So if I can read a book or, listen to a podcast or a masterclass, I don't know if you've heard of those, the masterclasses that are out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
Rich Paul just did a masterclass, and I swear, if you're looking at getting into he's an agent for the NBA players, the big NBA, and it's about how to negotiate.
Yeah,
if you're looking to get into real estate, you just need to listen to that, guys.
That's great advice.
Yeah. I wish that was around 8 years ago when I started, because it talks about leverage, about anchoring, about everything, how to build trust with clients. I'll listen to something like that. Go get brunch. That's how I wind down.
Awesome.
Yeah,
no, I think it's great. Hopefully people get on that masterclass. I'll have to check that out.
Rich Paul.
Yeah,
that
Rich
one's
Paul.
the only one you need to listen to. Yeah.
A couple more things here, Tia. Where do you see your career heading in the next 5 years? What's the plan?
Yeah, I think building a team of people is really important. I think, when I first started, I was very much of the mindset of just being a lone wolf and doing everything myself. But as people's expectations get bigger, you can't accommodate that. So building a team that can provide excellent customer service is really important. Yeah.
Fantastic. We kind of touched on this before, but if you could give one piece of advice to a new agent starting, male or female this time, what would it be?
Align yourself with the best agent in the area that you want to work in long term. Be prepared to work for nothing at the start. Learn as much as you possibly can, and always keep the client at the forefront of your mind. And
Fantastic.
You'll be fine.
That's awesome. Good advice, guys. Listen to what Tia's got to say. And Tia, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on The People Behind Property. Your journey from the legal profession to becoming one of Frankston's top agents and one of O'Brien's top agents is a real inspiration. And it's clear that your combination of skill, strategy and empathy is what sets you apart. Thank you for sharing your insights, your experiences, and a little bit more about life beyond the office. We'll be watching your career with great interest and hopefully catching you again on the show in the future. Thank you again.
Thanks, Andrew. And thanks, O'Brien.
Thank you.